It's the start of a brand new week, and we have a loaded show coming your way on Philadelphia 76ers now to get the week started off with the bang. And coming up on this Monday edition of the show, a Daryl Morey masterclass. We have seen it on multiple occasions all throughout this offseason, and we're going to explain how and why Daryl Morey in Philadelphia has won the NBA offseason in a monster way. First, I want you to help me and Chip out. Last week, we were able to pick up 217 subscribers. This week, I really want to beat that number, and I think that we can do it and accomplish that with this show alone. So if you're looking for Sixers shows that come your way year-round, that are insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking, that involve you, the Sixers fan, and you want to be a part of a Sixers community right here on YouTube, then hit that subscribe button right now. So the Philadelphia 76ers came into the offseason with a golden opportunity. All of that cap space, two superstars in place with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, and an opportunity with financial capital, draft capital, roster spots open to execute on that opportunity. And Daryl Morey was able to do that. And on Sunday, he did it once again. And remember last week when we talked about Guerschon Yabusele and everybody was saying, they're not going to sign him. This is clickbait. This channel's driving me nuts with these possibilities that are never going to happen and come to fruition. Well, what happened yesterday? The Philadelphia 76ers signing the French forward, who was awesome for Team France all throughout that Olympic run to the gold medal game against Team USA. This is a low-risk, high-reward signing for Philadelphia, and how much have we been talking about this on the show, that the Sixers need to beef up that front court at the power forward spot. They're able to accomplish that with this move. Now, some people are going to say he was a first-round pick for Boston. He was out of shape and slow. Are you just going to make the assumption that he has not improved his game? That he is not in better shape? Are you going to make the assumption that people can't learn from previous mistakes and previous opportunities? I firmly believe that Yabusele is a better player now than he was. He flamed out during his first NBA stint. But he played damn good for Real Madrid. He played really good for Team France. And he fulfills that aforementioned need for the Sixers team. And on a vet min deal, $2 million, he could end up being a steal. A wise move made by Daryl Morey, who I'm glad he watches this show because we talked about this possibility last week. Now, what did Daryl Morey do additionally this offseason? The big ticket free agent signing, which was the biggest splash among all 30 teams in the NBA, going out and landing the best free agent wing available in Paul George. So Daryl Morey won the offseason with all of these moves combined, and I think he won the offseason with how he approached this. He got his dream target in Paul George, and he gave him a max deal. But an importance of this offseason was also rounding out the roster with depth. And it's really important to be able to do that because in a playoff series, you need bench players. You need depth. You need a steady, deep, and consistent rotation. And I really like the surrounding moves that Daryl Morey made with some big pieces, but also some of the players on the periphery of this roster. Some value contracts that Morey was able to ink and get in stone. Kelly Oubre coming back to Philadelphia on a 2-year, $16.3 million deal with the way that he played last year. The importance of teams needing athletic wings. The strides that he made offensively and defensively. I think other teams were willing to give Kelly Oubre more money. $8 million per is a lot more than the vet min he signed for last year. But I still think that's a bargain for Philadelphia because he wanted to come back because Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, they've been able to put together a pretty good culture with Philadelphia. And then we know that Caleb Martin was offered more money by the Miami Heat. He was offered more money by other teams, yet the Sixers bring him in on a 4-year, $35 million deal. And if these two players end up playing up to their potential, and Yabusele plays up to his potential, and Paul George ends up being a great third star, not only are these moves going to be financially smart, but this team's also going to be really, really good. Oubre had those larger offers elsewhere, but Daryl Morey sold him on the situation in Philadelphia. And that's part of what you have to do when you're running basketball ops for an organization. You have to make your team a destination. Daryl Morey has been able to do that, and he's been able to do that while undoing the moves that Brett Brown and Elton Brand made, which set this organization back. And what a job from Daryl with the Caleb Martin deal. He stole him away from the Miami Heat. That is an Eastern Conference rival and an Eastern Conference team that you were going to be competing against. And you were able to get him and fulfill a need for less than what the Miami Heat offered. So with that, plenty more to get to. I want to ask you this question. What is the best move that Daryl Morey made this offseason? There are a litany of them, but let me know down in the comment section right now. Before we continue to move forward, let's pay our bills. Big thanks to Prize Picks for making today's Philadelphia 76ers now possible. If you're looking to play daily fantasy sports, Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become a part of the Prize Picks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks, and you can turn $10 into $1,000. Our football selections that we like: Calvin Ridley, more than 899.5 receiving yards. T. Higgins, more than that number. And then Cooper Kupp at more than 974.5. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, run your game. How about what Philadelphia did in the 2024 NBA draft? Jared McCain, round 1, 16th overall. Good value there. And then Adem Bona, round 2, 41 overall. I know that Jared McCain did struggle a little bit throughout the summer league. He might need some time, but he has shown some flashes. Keep in mind at Duke, he struggled to start the year. By the end of the season, he was on a heater, he was cooking, and he was Duke's best player during that NCAA tournament run. Has a lot of range, good finishing ability, and he's a smart player who can play on ball, off ball. And then Bona looks like he could contribute year one. He's going to have to control himself a little bit physically because he's so long and athletic that he can get baited into fouls. But from an athletic standpoint, I think that he can get rotation minutes, and he is an athletic freak. And then you take a gander at the KJ Martin contract. 2 years, $16 million. That second year, non-guaranteed. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but this is a finesse by Daryl Morey because he can easily be tradable at the NBA trade deadline and be a salary match filler for a player like, let's say, Dorian Finney-Smith. KJ Martin is also still young, 23 years old. So if he makes improvements, he can be a part of the Sixers rotation. So a smart signing there from Daryl Morey. And you know I love this move. Andre Drummond returning. Given the lack of availability and some of the injury concerns with Joel Embiid, the Sixers needed to have a bona fide backup center behind Embiid. I'm so tired of looking at the plus minus and seeing the Sixers well into the red, well into the minus digits when Joel Embiid is off the floor. Regular season, postseason. With Andre Drummond, you have a very good backup center who has been one of the best rebounders of this generation, runs the floor well, is a lob threat, and you get him at 2 years, $10 million. He has been and will continue to be the best backup center that Joel Embiid has ever had if he's able to continue to stay healthy. And then let's get ahead of the rookie council contract. Chip and I talked about this well ahead of the game before that deal was even signed. Ricky Council signed an NBA contract, 3 years, $6.5 million. If he even ends up being a solid bench piece and a solid rotation piece, and he continues his upward trajectory with his development, what a deal that could end up being throughout the entire duration of that contract. And then Philadelphia, because they're giving max contracts to Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, they needed to fill out the roster with some vet minimum signings. Eric Gordon can knock down the three ball at a 40% clip. He'll have some open looks on this Sixers roster. Reggie Jackson won an NBA championship 2 years ago. He's played a lot of high leverage minutes. He can create on the offensive side of the floor. And then Kyle Lowry, the extension of a head coach on the floor, a floor general, a veteran, an NBA champion, good for the culture. He too, back to Philadelphia on that vet min deal. So, Chip, we round out with what an offseason for Daryl Morey here. He's been able to make a lot of terrific moves for the Sixers team, setting them up nicely going into 2024-2025.
Yeah, it's really been a great offseason. You can't really ask for anything more than what Daryl Morey has done at every single turn in this offseason. He's been able to set out and accomplish what we wanted him to accomplish. And I think the Sixers are the big winners of the offseason, and I don't even know if it's really close. And it continues with this Guerschon Yabusele signing. You know, getting Paul George, the guy they wanted all along, the best free agent wing out there on the market. Getting these other bargain deals done, Oubre, Martin, filling out the roster with wings that the Sixers have needed for so long, making the good draft picks, getting some veterans in there. And again, I think this is really just all highlighted by signing Guerschon Yabusele here.
Yeah.
Because he can be such an important piece for this team if his shooting ability translates from overseas to the NBA, obviously slightly longer three-point line in the NBA. But with his skill set and what he can bring to the Sixers, there's no doubt to me there were other teams that would have loved to sign Yabusele, especially for a minimum contract. So if he's able to make an impact on this team, this can really be a monumental offseason. Hear from Daryl Morey. He did it again, man. He did it again, and we'll have to wait and see how this actually plays out on the court.
And again, it's important to note that he had to undo a lot of the moves that Brett Brown and Elton Brand had made. The Tobias Harris contract, the last one of those. But think about the value that he got back for Al Horford to get rid of that deal. The value that he got back for getting rid of Danny Green's contract when he was injured. And then him being conservative last year, holding on to those draft picks, bringing in players on expiring deals, which opened up all this cap space to make all of this possible. When you're running any business, really important to have foresight. Daryl Morey had that foresight, and now here we are. So grade the 76ers offseason, A, B, C, D, or F. Join the conversation down in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow here on the program.